0 to 60 can define a performance car, but it's the fastest 60 to 0 that's the aim of Tarok's brakes. From road cars to race cars, circuits, special stages, or the autostrada, nothing reduces speed like Tarok's brakes. Italy gave the world the art of Da Vinci and Michelangelo. Tarok's has given drivers the art of stopping. For more information and to acquire your own masterpiece, visit tarox.co.uk.
Yes, it's me, Mike Stone, and this is the Backseat Driver Podcast. I'd like to introduce to the Backseat Driver radio show here on Drystone FM, Mike Smith, automotive expert, author, and shall we say, fellow electric car skeptic. Mike, welcome to the Backseat Driver radio show.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having us on.
It's an absolute pleasure. I'm talking to you, if I'm not mistaken. You're sat somewhere on the motorway services, aren't you?
Yeah.
Now, as I said, what drew you to my attention was some of your comments on electric cars. Now, probably like myself, I don't dismiss them out of hand, but I'm a great believer, and having talked to other experts, they are still 4 or so years away from where they need to be. And all the hype is, shall we say, overhyping them. I mean, what is your take on electric cars?
Well, I'm very open-minded. I've already had one. I've already had a Jaguar I-Pace. So I've shown a bit of faith and tried to do, what's been recommended. But the problem is they just aren't what people think they are yet.
No.
For a number of reasons. The infrastructure in the UK just isn't there yet. If you try and use one as a normal car, you just can't. It's interesting. I mean, there's various other journalists and car experts, people like Harry Metcalf and the lad from Car Wow. They've all done little experiments to see whether they could run an electric car or not, and I have. And you can't. You certainly can't run it as your only car.
No.
I mean, the funny thing is, if you look at anyone like Jeremy Clarkson, Harry Metcalf, everybody's got a slightly older, big-engined diesel four-wheel drive, like a Range Rover or a Merc ML or something like that, because that's the car that you need in your real life.
Yeah.
To be able to have the dogs in it and jump in it and do between 400 and 600 miles.
Yeah.
What I found with the electric car, and I'm not dismissing the electric car out of hand because they do certain things really well, but in real life, sometimes you have to jump in a car and do 400 or 500 miles in a hurry.
Yeah.
And an electric car can't do it yet.
No.
Now the reality, and I can tell you now, we've got we've sort of tried another compromise, which is to get a petrol plug-in hybrid. Okay, and I used it to funnily enough, to go to the same place I'm going today. And I used it, so it was only Cheshire to Bedford. It was on full electric charge, and I thought I'll leave the petrol just to see how I go on with the electric charge. Now, the full electric charge on that hybrid was gone in 11 miles because
Yeah.
I was getting a move on. Okay, so I thought, oh right, okay, well I better nip into the services and do it, plug it in. So I went into the first services, went to the electric things, put the car up to it and everything. You've got to, and obviously you only have to do this once, but you set up on an app and put all your account details in and everything, and then you can swipe it, and it'll do your account. So I go to swipe it, sorry, out of order. So I move the car onto the next one, because there's only 2 of them there. Do the same thing. That one's out of order as well.
Yeah.
Right? So what did I have to do? Go to the petrol.
Yeah.
So fill the car with petrol at the services. Go to the next services to see if I can get some electric. They're out of order. Right? Both of them. So set off again. Go to the next services. So think of how much this is adding to your journey.
Oh yeah.
Pulling off, going in the services, right? And like, so I go to the third one and it works. So stick it on. Says it's do you want the fast charge? And that's more expensive than a slow charge. So I do that. Ask it for a fast charge, and it says, right, your model of car, 45 minutes. Stick it on. After 45 minutes, it's done 56%. Not 100%.
No.
Right? That lasted 4 miles. So I was reliant on the petrol. So, you know, so that's a petrol hybrid, right? So the question there is then, you've just got to think, well, what's the point of that? Well, the point of it is obviously, if it can do a range of 32 miles whilst you are just going slowly in it round town, then it's okay.
Yeah.
If you're doing a proper journey, forget the hybrid bit.
Yeah.
You know, you've just got to get on with it. Now, going to the I-Pace, which, you know, is pretty much thought of as one of the best electric cars, isn't it?
I have driven the I-Pace, and I would say out of all the electric cars I've driven, it is the one that actually impressed me the most.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cracking car in the way it rides and the way it drives. I mean, the shape of it's rubbish, you know, compared to a normal Jaguar. You know, you look like you're in... Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of, like, Rover when they did the Rover 200 or something the first time.
Yeah.
With a hatchback, you know, like in 1989.
Yeah.
It's that sort of car. You don't think, ooh, I'm getting in a nice luxury car, even though it's nice inside. The back end of it is very cheap looking, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that car, if you lived in London, that'd be a magnificent car to have.
Yeah.
If you're trying to do proper work anywhere, it's just no good. You know, I mean, the absolute most you can get is about 210 miles out of it.
Yeah.
Now, my pal has the car, has a new I-Pace now, and they work from home for part of the time, and the rest of the time they go from the home to a town centre, and often they work at a university. Yeah. The car's perfect for them. What happens with them is they've got a home charger. The home charger does it in about 5 hours, so it's pretty cheap. They then, when they drive into town, at the university, they can plug in for free by using electric because the incentive's there. So they're getting this 200-mile range. They just never need to do a really long journey. Yeah. But if they do, they've got a Volvo C30 diesel that's about 15 years old as a backup car. Yeah. So there's that, and then if you look at the other charging situation, if you have a Tesla, it's much better. So of all the electric cars that are out there, Tesla have the best infrastructure out there. However, the most unreliable cars in the UK in a recent survey were
Tesla,
the Tesla 3 and the Tesla X, and they're constantly needing software. You know, they've got problems with the software. Yeah. So it's clear they're not totally rubbish. You know, they're incredibly fast. They handle well. Some of the styling's a bit questionable, isn't it? Like,
it is, and I must confess as well. One of the things I've noticed on a couple of them that I've looked at, if the doors won't open, I won't mention which model, but you could climb in through one of the panel gaps because they're, shall we say, a fraction irregular.
Yeah. So I mean, there's some mean, as more manufacturers get on board, there's some decent looking ones. It's just the combination of, you know, infrastructure, reliability. I mean, that I-Pace has been back in a couple of times, not surprisingly, being a Jag Land Rover product for electronic stuff. I mean, the flipping petrol ones and diesel ones need that. The infrastructure is just not there yet. And I think the big point is that, yet again, it's a non-motor industry-led decision.
Yeah.
Led by politicians who've decided this is a good idea. We'll make everybody do what we want.
Yeah.
And then we'll make everybody change. We'll let the motor industry fund it by millions and zillions of pounds worth of development. And then once everybody's changed, thinking this is a good idea, it's cheaper, what we'll do is we'll heavily tax it.
Yeah.
And the country seems to fall for it, doesn't it? I mean, you know, when I started selling cars selling cars properly in the 1980s, petrol was the popular one.
Yep.
Diesel was the noisy one that mean people bought.
Yep.
Right? Especially Irish priests.
Yeah.
Who always bought them from Ireland because they got them a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it was like, you know, but it was cheaper, and if you went to the continent on holiday, it was worth going in a diesel. Then someone decided, no, diesel's the way forward because the emissions are cheaper.
Yeah.
And they persuaded everybody to have a diesel. So all the manufacturers started coming out with diesels, and people were falling over themselves. Oh my God, Jaguar have made a diesel. It's the end of the mark, you know. And then they've done it, and then now it's all diesel's evil.
Yeah.
We were wrong. What you really need is an electric.
Yeah.
You know, and then next it'll be what you really need is a hydrogen.
Yeah, I'm going to say it won't be long before they switch everybody to electric's evil because of all the pollution that the mining of the ingredients cause. And
yeah, I mean, the lithium that goes in the batteries, I mean, the sort of, you know, the picture that keeps popping up is some little 4-year-old kid, isn't it? Digging away with his bare hands.
In the Congo, digging away with his bare hands, yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is to do with even hybrid cars and batteries and things like that. How do you dispose of the batteries?
Well, that's the big thing.
You know, and then the next thing is the logistics of making one. I remember seeing a report in America when they were saying the most eco-friendly car was a Wrangler, and it was because it was built in the same factory for like 45 years or something. Yeah. And, you know, it didn't need any new resources, and they did a comparison with a Prius. You know, the Prius it was sort of being shipped all over the world, you know. Yeah. You know, and it sort of cost about. It was basically like sort of using a jumbo jet to go to the corner shop type comparison. The thing is, they're not bringing in the human element into it yet. No, you know, the human element doesn't allow for you to charge a car for 45 minutes or 5 hours. No, and the autonomous car scenario is the same, isn't it? Oh yeah. Did you see in America the guy in the Tesla, and he was watching a film or something in his Tesla because he didn't need to drive the car, and the car and a massive articulated lorry pulled across the front, and the side of the lorry was white, and the car thought it was Sky. Yeah, and didn't see it. And decapitated the bloke. Yeah, he was watching Harry Potter, if memory serves. I remember seeing that report. Well, at the moment they're trialling autonomous cars around Oxford, but since all the students are now locked up or back at home, the benefit is there's nobody to run over when they go wrong. Well, you do get a lot of bicycles, don't you, in Cambridge and Oxford? Yeah. But I'll tell you what it is, you mentioned earlier on, I had a plug-in hybrid that I had to go to Herefordshire in, from where I am in Lancashire. I got 22 miles out of it on electricity. I thought, be a good boy, drop into the services, fill it, top it up, and away you go. The 2 services I went into, all the charges, and which was,
8 in total were all out of order. So thankfully it had a tank of petrol. So I drove to Herefordshire and back on petrol, apart from the first 20 odd miles, and I thought, well, ownership of this is a complete and utter waste of time.
Yeah, well, like I say, you've just got to realise that it's not for the long journey, is it?
No, I mean, I mentioned these.
Hybrid. Even if it's fully charged, it's nothing to do with your journey.
No, I mentioned these on a regular basis. There's a company down south called Saturn EV, and they produce these little electric cars, 2-seaters. One's a car, one's a van. There's £1,000 difference. I think one's just over 12 grand, one's just over 13 grand. It will do no more than 47 miles per hour and no more than about 90 miles on a full charge. It charges quickly, and it's perfect if you're nipping into town. Absolutely fantastic for vans, for deliveries. If the bulk of the parcels are brought to, shall we say, a small depot, this little van can pot around and deliver everything. And the guy who makes them says, if you're going on a long journey, this isn't the car for you. Forget it. Go and buy a Range Rover with a diesel in it.
Yeah.
So you think, well, this guy is realistic about his electric cars and he doesn't tell lies about them. So fantastic.
You know what you're saying about the vans and that?
Yeah.
Let me think, 2003, I think it was. A friend of my sister's wanted to take over a school bus company. You know, like a load of the parents had got together and made this company.
Yeah.
So they got in touch with me, what should we have, you know, and they wanted some sort of eco-friendly thing. So I had a look at them then, and there's a company called Smith's Electric Vehicles that had made them for years and years. So I looked into them, and it transpired that an old neighbour actually worked for them.
Yeah.
So I looked into it, and they were like just Ford Transits, but they were Ford Transits that had been converted to electric.
Yeah.
So at the time, things like a Leyland DAF or a Transit diesel were about 28 grand, something like that.
Yeah.
This is 2003, you know, and you could get a lump off them. The electric ones, are you ready?
Yeah.
About 85k.
Yeah.
Right? Then, so there was just no special cheap leasing or anything.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't see the point of them. They were like 40 mile an hour, range of about 50 miles. It was bananas.
Yeah.
So left that and got them something else. And then the next time I looked at it was about 2012, where I had an Aston Martin customer wanted a new van.
Yeah.
And she was like pretending eco-friendly. It was quite funny.
Yeah.
She wanted to present like this totally eco-friendly image, whereas really, you know, she had a V8 Volvo XC90 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We looked at it again, and with a VW Crafter diesel. But again, you know, like the electric equivalent was 80-90 grand.
Yeah.
So what was the point?
Yeah, there's none whatsoever. Now,
I don't think customers buying from a food company or supermarket give a shit.
No, providing what they're after is on the shelf, they're not altogether bothered how it got there.
Yeah, it's such a typical example of this world, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, change of subject. Your new book, The Blue Pullman Story. We're now going from road to rail. You've just co-written or updated your famous book on the Blue Train Pullman, or the Blue Pullman Train. I mean, explain a little bit more. I mean, the Blue Pullman was from the heady days of luxury rail travel, unlike today.
Basically, what happened was, with the book, a gentleman named Kevin Robertson wrote a book about him in 2005. And that was about 158 pages, and as a result of that, and I bought it, and as a result of that, he got extra info, so he did a supplement to it a couple of years later then he found he had quite a lot of pictures, so he did a pictorial, and the sort of the second and third book were sort of thin softbacks. And then he announced he was writing a new version about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's a train that's dear to my heart, and I'll explain why in a minute. But I started to pepper him with information.
Yeah.
And he got a bit overwhelmed by it and got in touch, and he said, look, he said, there's so much information and I just can't believe what you're coming up with. He said, also, you're answering questions with the information that you're finding that in the book I've asked those questions.
Yeah.
Would you consider coming on board? So I did, and it's more than doubled the size of the book, and now it's nearly 400 pages.
Right.
With a lot of unseen pictures, a lot of unseen info, and that in itself created a problem because if you think of how a publisher works, they'd done a deal with Kevin, and they budgeted for a 158-page book.
Yeah.
Suddenly I come along and say, right, this has got to be like a superb coffee table book of nearly 400 pages. 25 quid ain't enough.
Yeah.
You know? And they said, yeah, but we've worked out all our figures. I don't care. This is going to be the greatest book ever on the Blue Pullman. People will buy it and pay more money for it.
Yeah.
But you've never written a book before. And I said, well, I have. I said, but, my name's not on the cover. I said, I did the motoring part of the Italian job book from last year.
Yeah.
I said, and it's just won motoring book of the year. And the publisher we had was a motoring publisher, not a film book publisher.
Yeah.
And Matt, who's been my best mate since he was about 11, didn't believe me that it could be successful as a motoring book. To him, it was film only, cars second.
Yeah.
And to me, it was a car book because it was about the Italian job.
Yeah.
So, that's like a really big, impressive book. And in that, we revealed loads of stuff, and it won motoring book of the year.
Right.
So, and it's sold really well. I think it's in its third print run now.
Yeah.
And certainly the publishers never won any of the awards before with some magnificent books that have come out before.
Yeah.
So this Blue Pullman book is really detailed, and the difference between this and a normal railway book is the way Kevin would do his research, which was really good and really detailed, is he would go to like the National Archive.
Yeah.
And get all the sort of factual stuff and the old paperwork from the meetings between the management and the design people. Managed to access a lot of photos and everything. Now, my approach was to go partly via a Facebook group on the subject, but also to go to the retired railway clubs around the country in the areas where the Blue Pullman was serviced. And from that, managed to get hold of an awful lot of people who actually worked on it in different jobs.
Yeah.
Managed to get loads of people who'd seen it as a little kid. But I'll just give you one example. The Blue Pullmans, to make sure they were always okay, had a travelling fitter, which is quite a luxury for a company to provide. You know, they actually had a guy on the train so that if anything went wrong, he could fit it en route, and not delay the train. And one of these travelling fitters popped up, and of course he had about 4 pages worth of stories.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant, so that was just one example. Now, I never actually saw a Blue Pullman. I never actually saw one. Yeah. Because the final one was scrapped in 1976. They were out of service in 1973, and I was born in 1970. So, as a little kid, I never got to see one. Yeah. They had a surprisingly short life, but the big connection for me was my dad, who wouldn't have been able to afford to travel by Blue Pullman at all, won a competition 3 years running in the 60s. And my dad was a teacher and later a headmaster. And as one of the subjects he taught as as a bit of a hobby for kids in the lunchtime and that, was handwriting and italic writing. Yeah. And a competition was put on by Platinum pens, not
I
platinum.
I remember those, yes.
Yeah. And people like Sir John Betjeman were the judges, and, you know, it's quite a big deal. And the other judge had a very special pen shop in Oxford by the university. And Dad won it 3 years running with 3 different pupils, and the prize giving was in London. So part of it was the way to get Dad and the kid to London and back, was by Midland Pullman.
Right.
So he told me these stories sort of when I was a kid in the back, you know, and he'd tell me different stories. And one set of stories were about this magnificent blue train that was incredibly luxurious and had these, you know, posh attendants coming in beautiful uniforms and serving you at your seat.
I mean, you got full silver service on them, didn't you?
Oh yeah, full silver service, and the Midland Pullman was all first class. Now, what he did also tell me was, and he was sort of telling it me as a funny story, was how his soup used to leap out of the bowls.
Yeah.
And how the waiters would be sort of staggering down the corridor, you know, and trying to, you know, serve their soup and coffee and tea, and it would be spilling.
Yeah.
So, at the time, I thought this meant if you go on a very fast train, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And that's what my dad thought as well. But it transpires that in the research and everything, they actually had a terrible ride.
Oh, right.
There was a massive design fault.
Yeah.
And, you know, even before they were released to the public, they had this problem and were desperately trying to fix it.
Yeah.
And what it was, in the research, they found out, I don't know if you know, but where you see the wheels on a train, they're called the bogies. The
bogies, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the front and back of the train, you got the bogies. And they used a Swiss design by a company called Metro Scherillen, I think is how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
And on the length of carriage and the type of smooth railways on the continent that they experienced them on, they worked really well. On Britain's old Victorian tracks, and with a different size of coach, they didn't work.
Yeah.
So it actually makes the story more interesting because we've got all the sort of, we've even got like the reports of the guy who had to spend like a couple of months on them trying to
work out why they were as bad as they were.
Yeah, and they did improve them quite a bit. But there's some quite funny stories. Like, we've got like copies of a questionnaire. Yeah. Which, by mistake, the staff gave out to customers on one occasion, and instead of the engineers. So the customer suddenly gets given on this luxury train that they've paid a fortune for. Right, when you're going over a bump at this point, and it listed all the different types of bad rides, side to side, up and down, you know, do you hear a loud bang? You know, and there was all these different things going on. So, going back to the train itself, you have to picture this train in an atmosphere of, it's pre-war, so we come out of the war in 1945. Most of the steam locomotives that were all beautiful greens and blues and burgundies are now painted austerity black.
Yeah.
They've got no money to run the railways properly, so everything's a bit run down, and you've got these dirty black steam engines.
Yeah.
And diesels are just starting, so around about 48, the first couple came out, and then different ones were being developed. So what was happening was, you didn't have like a standard set of diesels. The different manufacturers were coming out with their versions, you know, so there's a lot of prototype stuff and trying to find the right thing. For British Railway, there was the diesel hydraulics, diesel engine hydraulic transmission, and diesel electrics, diesel fuel electric transmission.
Yeah, Deltics as they call them, I think.
Trains as well. So you had all these different things happening, but the modernisation plan in 1955, which Beeching was part of, and obviously Beeching shut down a lot of the branch lines, which a lot of people see Beeching as a real criminal because he shut down all these lines. A lot of other people, when they study it, think Beeching was a hero and saved the railways because all these little lines were losing money like mad.
Yeah.
And he was basically doing away with them so that money could be made.
Yeah.
Out of a Premier service. So they came up with the Blue Pullman. The design of the Blue Pullman, the exterior and everything, is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's a cracking looking train.
Yeah.
In a beautiful new blue, which is called Nanking Blue. So can you imagine seeing these things next to all the, the black dirty steam engines? It was like a spaceship.
Yeah.
So any kid who saw them at the time was blown away by them.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't really realise is it was a bit of an experimental train, the Blue Pullman project.
Yeah.
And it was the forerunner to the high-speed train that came out in 76 and, 40 odd years later it's still running now and only just now starting to be displaced.
Yeah.
So what they did do was they learnt a lot of lessons from the Blue Pullman.
Yeah.
So one example was in the power car, and it had a power car at the front and the back.
Right.
So, like the 125, so this was a new thing. And they actually put passengers in part of the power car.
Yeah.
So there were about 12 seats. And that was one of the lessons they learnt. It was too noisy, it vibrated too much. So with the HST, the high-speed train that people might know as the Intercity 125, they just had the power car at the front and back with no accommodation.
Yeah.
Now, that train, the HST, that's one of the greatest trains the world's ever seen.
Yeah.
Still has the diesel record for speed, one of the best rides ever from any train. And it's because the power car at the front and back means that the carriages don't have to have any engines underneath them.
Right.
Now, a lot of the trains that are coming out now to replace the HST, these Class 390s, sort of called the bullet train, even though they're nothing like the bullet trains in Japan that do 300 miles an hour.
Yeah.
They do have engines underneath, and they're not as nice. They're not as comfy.
Right.
They vibrate underneath. So it's a bit of a backward step, really, that. But going back to the Blue Pullman, the services ran from Manchester to London. It was Manchester Central, which is now the big exhibition centre.
Oh, yeah.
And it ran to St Pancras. And the route it took, it went out through sort of Stretford, Trafford, turned left to Chorlton, and went out through Didsbury, it's like a South Manchester route. Yeah. Through Stockport, and it went through the Peak District. So it went through places like sort of just slightly bypass Buxton, went through Matlock, and then joined up the sort of main line again at Derby.
Yeah.
Now that route actually closed in 1969.
Right.
The whole route. And it was a beautiful route. It was a difficult route with a lot of hilly sections. But it was a beautiful route.
Yeah.
And it now, the bit of it that goes to Didsbury from Manchester, this was a really interesting scenario. When it shut down, the Manchester Council planners, someone had the brains in the 60s to say, don't ever build on that.
Yeah.
Just let trees grow, because you never know when we might need it.
Yeah.
And of course, 40 odd years later, guess what's there? It's the Manchester Metro link, the tram. So it's the exact same route that the Blue Pullman went on. But when it comes to the border of Stockport, it's no longer there, because the Stockport Council weren't as intelligent. They built houses on it. That's why Stockport don't have the tram.
Now, regrettably, since we're running out of time, the other book, very briefly, The Self-Preservation Society, 50 years of the Italian job, or the 50th anniversary. Just quickly, what is the book about? A daft question, I know, but...
It's about the Italian Job 50 years later. I mean, it's every aspect of the film.
Yeah.
Matthew wrote a book on the Italian Job when he was 18 as his university project in about the year 2001 or 2.
Yeah.
And since then, he spent 20 odd years researching and doing loads more interviews and everything.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "Look, can you do all the car side?" So like an idiot, I said, "Yeah."
And then realise what you're taking on.
Yeah, because obviously the more I did it, the more detail we got. But some of the information we found out is basically solving mysteries of 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, the highlights being that the Miura, which me and Matt first became aware of around 2013. It was thought that the Miura had been found, the main one for the driving sequence at the beginning.
Yeah.
And by about 2015, a good pal of mine, Ian Tyrrell, from Ian Tyrrell's Classic Garage, felt it was the car, you know, and told me it was the car.
Yeah.
But Lamborghini wouldn't, I think they're on the phone now from Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lamborghini wouldn't confirm it was the car for me.
Yeah.
And I was able to facilitate that, you know, myself, Matthew, and David Salamoni, who David supplied most of the cars for the film and played the driver of the Red Mini, Dominic.
Oh, yeah.
Sits next to Michael Caine. We went out in secret to the Lamborghini factory and went in Polo Historico, or whatever it's called, into their vault where all the files for the cars were kept.
Yeah.
And we had a meeting in there with the guy who drives the car in the film.
Yeah.
But, you know, who's now an old man called Enzo Maruzzi.
Yeah.
And we were able to go through, you know, whether it was the car or not. And it was.
Yeah.
So the book was meant to be the launch of that information.
Yeah.
But the person who Ian Till sold the car to wanted to grab the glory and release the press release about 4 days before.
Yeah.
So we found that out. The big thing was we found out the reg numbers of the 6 main minis.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all S plates, not G plates.
Yeah.
They're all the last of the Mark 1 Cooper S's.
Yeah.
And in David Salamoni's cellar, we discovered his box of stuff with his jotter, with all the notes about all the cars.
Yeah.
So it revealed there were 2 Astons plus the Lancia. One Aston was supposed to go over the cliff, but it blew up when they were trying to get it over with the digger.
Yeah.
So one Aston was destroyed. Amazingly, 68 of the 70 DB4 convertibles still exist.
All right.
So we were able to trace which one it was, and it was a development car.
Yeah.
Registered to David Brown's in Huddersfield. David Brown owning Aston at the time. And we discovered there was 2 E-types of each type.
Yeah.
2 hard tops, 2 soft tops. So one soft top survives. The registration number of the hard top survives, but not the car.
Yeah.
Traced the coach all the way through its life after the film, and in fact before the film, and incredibly that got scrapped as late as about 1991.
Right.
And the person who scrapped it knew it was the bus used in the Italian Job. How dope is that?
Now, regrettably, I'm going to have to bring this to an end because we're running out of time. But if anybody wants either of the books, where do they get them from?
You can buy the Italian Job book from Amazon or any sort of bookshop, or Porter Press themselves.
Yeah.
The Blue Pullman book, you're best buying it off me.
Right.
Because I earn some money out of it. And if you email me at Mike Astons at hotmail.com, so that's Mike, the name Mike, Aston like the cars, with an S on it, and then at hotmail.com, so Mike Astons at hotmail.com. I'll happily sell you the book. You can get it elsewhere, but I'd rather you buy it off me.
Yeah, and you might even sign it for them, mightn't you?
Yeah, I mean, well, there is. Well, when they get in touch with me, they'll find out there's a limited edition that's double signed and numbered and everything. Although there's 128 limited editions, and I think we're down to 21 left now.
Right.
So they need to be quick if they want that one.
Mike Smith, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Thanks very much indeed. We could probably have talked for a lot longer, but regrettably, the show has time restraints on it. So, Mike Smith, thanks very much for joining me on today's Backseat Driver Radio Show.
Rarely beaten on price, never beaten on service. Whether it's cars, bikes or commercials, Hodder Tyres are the best in the business. And when it comes to tyre expertise and advice to supplying the correct tyres for your vehicle's specific requirements, nobody comes close to David Lakin and the Hodder Tyres team. So give them a call on 01200 613 192 or visit the website at hoddertyres.co.uk.